In this video, we're going to do the first installment of a series on parenting your adult child. If you are the parent of an adult child, you know that parenting doesn't stop when they reach the age of 18. In fact, sometimes it becomes more challenging after the age of 18. You no longer have a legal right to determine the course of their action, but you have a vested interest because your heartstrings are still attached. This video might be for you if you are the parent of an adult child and you've ever had guilt over some of the decisions that you've made during their childhood, if you wonder if it's too late to right some of those wrongs, if you ever lay awake at night and worry about your adult child or find yourself worried about them while you're in the middle of your day, if you don't see them as often as you might like to, if they're not on the path that you had in your mind that they would be on at this point in their life, if you want something different from them, if you have a conflict with them, you might enjoy this series. Now, this is not meant to be a tried and true guide to perfect parenting of an adult child. This is the start of a conversation about things that I've learned through my journey with 3 young adult children of varying ages, and to bring you hope that no matter what your situation, you may be able to find some useful tips to improve your relationship with your adult child or to be a better parent to your adult child. And I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and comments in the discussion below also, so that we can all learn from each other. It's a conversation about the challenges, triumphs, and complexities of parenting when your child is over 18, over 20, over 30, over 40, at any point. We parent them for longer in most instances after they reach 18 than we do before they reach 18. We're going to cover some basics today, sort of an overview, and get the conversation started. If you're not subscribed to this channel and this is a topic that brought you here or a topic that interests you, consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell, because the rest of the installments of this series will be intermingled with other content. Because the people who come to my channel are coming for makeup and lifestyle for the woman or the man over 50. And so not all of my content may apply to you, but you may want to be notified when the next installment goes up. I'm glad you're here. I think that this is an important topic. In this video, we're talking about a basically normal relationship and normal transition period between a parent and an adult child. Those normal complexities that you deal with as they exceed the age of 18, where you no longer have that absolute authority and control over all their decisions, but yet you wonder sometimes about those decisions, and you really want to tell them what to do, and you may think that they need you to tell them what to do, but they are legally an adult. Gets tricky. So what I'm going to say first is embrace the opportunity to see your role as more of a coach for your child than as that parental authority figure with absolute control. If they get there, you're in a good place. All the other things can be worked out. I want to give you a disclaimer. I have read a lot of parenting books. I've read a lot of books on parenting your adult children. In some of these books, I have picked up tips and tricks that inadvertently I may share with you today because it has become a part of my parenting style for my adult children. Although I have not referenced them for this video, I am going to include some of the books that have played a part in how I parent my adult children today, because some of my ideas and thoughts and choices in parenting my adult child may have come indirectly from those sources or be inspired by those sources. The first thing I'm going to tell you is love them unconditionally. That never has to change. Love them unconditionally without necessarily enabling poor choices or enabling them to be dependent upon you. I think that's really important. It's harder to put into practice, even though we know it, but we need to make sure that our tank is full so that we can take really good care of ourselves and that our mind is healthy, our body is healthy, and we're focused enough to be that great parent to our adult child. If you're running on E and you have nothing left, and that adult child's problems or situations or choices are dragging you down to the point that you can't sleep, can't eat, can't function, you need to give yourself a break and you need to refill your tank. I'm going to give you an analogy that I read somewhere about being on a plane. When you have that flight attendant give you that advice that says, in the event of an emergency, make sure you put the oxygen mask on yourself before you attend to your child or another passenger. That's because if you can't breathe, if you don't have oxygen, if you are passed out in the seat, you cannot be of service to them. It's the same situation here. So don't let yourself get in that trap or that pit of being drugged down by the problems of your adult child. Love them unconditionally. Be there for them. Keep that welcome mat out always. I like to say that I am available for you anytime that you need me. And you can always come to me for advice. And you're never too old for that. I never stopped going to my dad before he passed away, and I still go to my mom and my Aunt Sherry for advice, parenting my own children, or advice in life. So it's never too old for them either. Believe me, they still need you. They just need you in a different way. So I would say don't give them unsolicited advice. If they're not asking you for advice, give them a little bandwidth to make possible wrong choices. Sometimes the best learning and growing that we do in life is when we make a mistake and then we course correct and we know what doesn't work for us. Sometimes that's a powerful lesson and a better lesson than knowing what does work for us. So don't be afraid to let them make their own choices. However, if you're really concerned about their choice and they haven't asked you for advice and you feel like you need to say something, be affirming that they have the right to make their own decision and that you respect that and that you know they're adults and that they're going to be okay. You can even say something like, I know you have a good head on your shoulder, but one thing I might consider when making that decision is, and then share your bit of wisdom. Or another thing you might say is, I think it sounds like you have a plan. However, before you actually put that into effect, just think about a couple of things. I'm sure whatever decision you make will be the right one. I just want you to think about this before you make a final decision. That tends to go over much better than if I just say, you need to, or you should, or you have to, or that's wrong, or you need to do this. That doesn't tend to go over very well. The other thing, besides not intruding when not asked to intrude, is not guilt trip them. So as they grow up, they're going to want to be with friends. If they have a significant other come into the picture, definitely the story changes, right? They're not at your house all the time. They may have to split holidays or special occasions. One thing I've learned is no guilt. This is a no guilt relationship. This has been one of the best things that I've put into my relationship with my adult children, is that there are no rules when you have to see me, that you have to see me Christmas morning, or you have to be there for lunch on Thanksgiving, or at a certain time, or for a certain place. What I say to them is, just keep me in your life. I want to be included in your life. Call me. Keep in touch with me. Let me be included. But don't guilt them if they share time with the families of their significant others, even if you miss them, because you don't want to push them away or drive them away. And you don't want them to see you out of a sense of guilt. You want them to enjoy visiting and enjoy seeing you. So leave that door open and just say, I'm here whenever you want to spend time with me. Just do spend some time with me. But there's no calendar to when that has to happen. If you're not sure If your adult child is asking you for advice or just wants to vent, ask them. Clarify. Say, I'm always here to listen. I can just be that listening ear, or I could try to help you navigate through the situation. Are you looking for a thought partner, or are you looking for a shoulder or an ear to vent to? I would definitely clarify that, because sometimes they just want us to listen. And we want to make sure we're there for them for that. Because sometimes we just want somebody to listen to. So our adult children are not always very different from us. If you think about what you would want your parent to do in the same situation, sometimes that's the answer. Another tip I'd like to share with you is that they want you to accept them where they are without pestering. In addition to trying not to guilt them, I try not to pester them. I'm not saying I don't ever, but I try not to. So accept them where they are now. The questions like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have children? When are you going to get this job? When are you going to quit that job? When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to? When are you going to? When are you going to? Let them set their pace and try to be a cheerleader instead of a naysayer. Try to cheer them on and encourage them without pestering them, and give them acceptance as to where they are now, as long as it's not a dangerous place. When every time they visit you, it's a confrontation, or it's a list of things that you wish they do different, or it's unsolicited advice, or it's guilting, or it's questioning where they are now, it becomes stressful for them to come home or to come to you, even if they live in your own home. So try to make it a little bit more comfortable and pleasant for them to have an adult relationship with you. And while there are many similarities between us and them, acknowledge that there are some differences too. I mean, when I was growing up, basically at 18, I was out and responsible for myself. Today, I find that that transition sometimes takes a little bit longer. They still may be at home. They still may think, well, they are an adult. They don't just think that they're adult. They may be an adult, and they may want to make all of their own decisions, but they still may be depending on you somewhat for financial assistance if they're living in your home and you're paying some of the bills and you're not charging rent, or you're still paying for their car insurance or their phone bill. Those are some trickier waters to navigate on where those boundaries are. And that could be a whole separate video if you guys want one on boundary setting with children that live in your home. Let me know about that. But in general, just understand that they are growing up in a whole different age. We didn't have all of the technology that they have. We had more communication. We had more in-person visits. So we can't always relate to everything that they face, and the stresses that they face are real. Sometimes we think, what do you have to be stressful about? But each generation has their own set of stresses. So don't diminish their stresses, struggles, or anxiety. Be understanding and be supportive. Mistakes. When my kids were growing up and they were little, there were times when I was really present and I feel like I did a really good job. And then there was a period where I was in a tough situation and went through a tough experience, and I was just trying to get through the day. And I was a parent who worked outside of the home and was also navigating a career. So I was balancing work, and at that time it was a BlackBerry, and trying to do field trips and get dinner, and sometimes it was just check, homework done, dinner done, bath done, stuff ready for tomorrow done. And I feel guilty that I was not always present. I can't change the past. I can't change the past with my children or with any aspect, but I can do better today and tomorrow. And so now I try to be present for my children. I try to make sure that for all these years, and hopefully it's a lot, that we have left together, that they know I am present for them at any point that they need me, to listen, to guide, to help when invited, and to love them. And that I'm their biggest cheerleader and their biggest fan. And that is something that you can do now if your child allows you to, regardless of the past. You have to forgive yourself for any past guilt. You can't change that. You can only work on today and tomorrow, for every tomorrow that you have. So don't ruin an opportunity with them. Keep that door open. Keep the communication going. I think the tips that we've discussed so far are a very good foundation for creating a great relationship with your adult child. Be present, but don't smother. If I haven't heard from them in a couple of days, then I check in with them. But I try not to call or smother them every day. I still do send out an occasional group text message, have a great day, or some general thing to let them know that I'm thinking of them without being too invasive or pervasive. But if I haven't heard from them in a little while, then I check in. I want them to know I'm thinking of them, that I love them, that I'm there for them, and it's a balance. So today we've just dipped our toes into the water of parenting our adult children. Being a parent is the greatest gift that I've ever been given, but it's also been the hardest job that I've ever done. So there's some kind of quote about to whom much is given, much is expected, or much is required. I don't remember the exact words, but you know what I'm talking about. I think that's the job of parenting. And whether you're a biological parent, whether you're a step parent, whether you are just an aunt or an uncle or an important person in an adult child of somebody else's life, if you're their main influence, the things that we talked about today are all good, general, basic advice to follow. And I think that if you start there, that you'll find your adult children are much happier and much more excited to be with you and to be around you. And the more they're with you and around you and enjoy it, the less defensive they are, and the more open they are to the little tidbits of advice that you're sneaking in there here and there. Just a comment here or a comment there. Remember, I'm not in favor of just telling them what to do anymore. I'm for letting them live their own lives and being there to help guide them when they're looking for some help. So we will have a part 2 that will be a little bit more in depth, probably in February. I'll probably do one of these series a month until I feel like we've exhausted all of the avenues that you guys are interested in. Let me know in the comments below if this was helpful, if this is enjoyable. How do you feel about the generalized tips that I gave? Are there any specific avenues that you want me to go down next? And what do you do that works well or that has enhanced your relationship with your child? What other pieces of advice did I miss? Look forward to hearing from you in the conversation below. And until next time, go out and live light now.